Once upon a time there lived a poor woman in a lonely cottage. In the cottage garden grew 2 rose bushes, one of which bore white roses and the other red. The woman had 2 daughters, who were so much like the roses that she called one Snow White and the other Rose Red. Both were sweet and good, but they were very unlike. Rose Red loved to run and jump about the meadows, where her merry black eyes saw every flower and butterfly. Snow White was fair-haired and quiet, and liked to sit still at home. The 2 sisters loved one another dearly. When they walked out together, it was always hand in hand. Often they went far in the forest to get flowers and berries, but nothing ever harmed them. The hares ate clovers from their hand, the deer fed near them, the goats played at their side. When they stopped to rest, birds flew down and sung to them, because they were good and kind and all things loved and trusted them. Sometimes when they stayed late in the forest, they would lie down and sleep all night in the moss. But they did not run to and fro in the forest all the time. They helped their mother with her work, with her work at home. Their mother with her work at home. They kept the cottage so neat and clean that it was a pleasure to see it. Every day in summer they put on the table roses, sometimes white and sometimes red. In the winter mornings, Rose Red would light the fire and help about the breakfast. In the winter evenings, when the snow was falling and the mother would say, "Go Snow White," and latch the door. Then the sisters would knit or spin while their mother read to them. One cold evening they were sitting beside the fire on the floor. One cold evening they were laying beside the fire. On the floor they lay their little lamb. On the back of a chair perched a white dove with her head underneath her wing. Outside the snow fell fast and the wind howled. There came a knock at the door. "Run, Rose Red, and open the door," cried the mother. "Someone wishes to come in, and it's very cold." Rose Red pulled the latch and threw the door open wide. She expected to see a poor man who had lost his way. Instead, a great black bear poked his nose in the room. Rose Red screamed and jumped back. She and Snow White ran to their mother. The dove fluttered here and there, and the little lamb hid under the bed. But the bear spoke that very gently. "Do not fear me," he said. "I will do you no harm. I am very cold, and I wish to come in and warm before your fire." "Poor bear," said the mother, "it is indeed a bitter night. Come in and lie down beside the fire, but take care not to burn your fur coat." Then she said, "See, Snow White and Rose Red, this is it Rose Bed? Have I said that wrong the whole time? This bear is gentle and will not harm you." So they came back to the fireside, and the dove and the lamb got over their fright. The children brought a broom and swept the snow from the bear's fur. Then they began to play with him, and soon the 3 were good friends. When bedtime came, the snow was still falling and the wind howling, so the mother said to the bear, "I have not the heart to send you out in the woods tonight. You may sleep here beside our fire, where you will be warm and dry." In the morning, the 2 children opened the door, and the bear trotted away over the snow into the woods. After that, he came every evening at the same hour. The children played with him until the bedtime, and then he slept before the fire. Winter passed, spring came, and the world grew fresh and green. One morning the bear said to Snow White, "I must go away now, and I cannot come back till summer is over." "Where are you going, dear bear?" asked Snow White. "I must go into the forest to take care of my treasure," he said. "It is buried in the ground, and therefore it is safe so long as it is covered with frost and snow. But now spring is making the earth warm and soft. The dwarves will dig down and get my treasure if I do not watch. And what goes into the caves does not often come out again." Snow White was so sorry to see her old friend go that she did not open the door very wide as she went out the door very wide. As he went out, the latch tore off a little piece of his fur. Under the fur, Snow White thought she saw something shine like gold, but her bright eyes were so full of tears that she could not quite be sure. Away trotted the bear and was soon out of sight in the forest. Some time after this, the mother sent the children in the forest to pick up sticks for the fire. They came to a tree which had fallen across the path. Here they saw something bobbing up and down. It was a dwarf with a wrinkled face and a long white snow beard. A wrinkled face and a long snow-white beard. The end of his beard was caught in the tree. He jumped up and down like a dog tied by a chain, and could not get free. "Why do you stand there staring at me?" he cried to the sisters. "Can't you come to my help?" "Poor little man," said Rose Red. "How did you get caught?" "You silly thing," said the dwarf. "I was getting some wood to cook my dinner. While I was trying to split the branch, it came together and caught my long beard. Now it holds so fast that I cannot get away." The children did their best to get his beard free, but all in vain. "I will run and get someone to help us," said Rose Red at last. "Why do you wish to call other people?" snarled the dwarf. You are two more than are any of us. Can't you think of anything better to do?" "I've thought of something," said Snow White. She pulled her scissors out of her pocket and cut off the end of his beard. The dwarf snatched up a bag full of gold which was lying at the root of the tree. Away he went without thanking the children for their help. Some time after, Snow White and Rose Red went out fishing. As they sat on the bank of the stream, they saw something like a large grasshopper jumping about. They went to see what it was and found the dwarf. "What are you doing?" asked Rose Red. "You are about to fall into the water." "Can't you see that this fish is pulling me in?" cried the dwarf. He had been fishing, and the wind had tangled the line in his beard. A large fish was caught on the line, and he was not strong enough to draw it out, nor could he set it free, so he was being pulled into the water. The children did their best to untangle his beard, but they could not. At last Snow White had to pull out her scissors and cut off another piece. Although this saved his life, the dwarf was very angry. "How dare you ruin my beautiful beard?" he cried. "Bad luck to you both." Then he picked up a bag of pearls he had hid among the rushes and went away. Soon after this, their mother sent Snow White and Rose Red to town to buy some needles and thread. They went through the woods across a field, and here they saw a large bird circling about in the air. Suddenly he pounced down to the ground, and then they heard loud cries. They ran to see what was the trouble. They found that the bird had caught the dwarf in its claws and was trying to carry him off. The kind-hearted children did all they could for the little man. They caught and held him fast and beat the bird till it flew away. But as soon as the dwarf had got over his fright, he squeaked out, "Why did you jerk me about so roughly? You tore my new coat. Meddling, awkward things you are." Then he took a bag of precious stones and went his way. The little girls were so used to his harsh words and rough ways that they thought nothing of them. On they went to town and did their mother's errands. On their way home they came upon the dwarf. He had emptied his bag of precious stones upon the ground, thinking that no one was near. The sun was shining and the stones were glittering with rainbow colors. Snow White and Rose Red stopped to admire them. "What are you doing spying on me?" asked the dwarf, his gray face turning red with rage. Just then there was heard first a growl and then a roar. Out of the woods rushed a large black bear. The dwarf jumped up and tried in vain to get away. The bear was too near. Then she cried, Don't bear, spare me. See, you may have these precious stones. Are you hungry instead of me? Eat these two girls." Then he cried, Then he cried, "Dear bear, don't spare." Then he cried, "Dear bear, spare me. See, you have these precious stones. Are you hungry? Instead of me, eat these two girls. They are as fat as young birds. Only spare me." The bear did not say a word, but he struck one blow with his great black paw, and the ugly, wicked dwarf fell to the ground and never moved again. The little girls were running away as fast as they could, but the bear called to them, "Snow White, Rose Red, don't be afraid. Wait and I will go home with you." They knew the voice. It was that of their bear friend. As they turned toward him, what was their surprise to see the bearskin fall off. Instead of a rough bear, there stood a young man dressed in scarlet and gold. "I'm a king's son," he said. "That wicked dwarf robbed me of all my treasure and made me wander about the woods in the form of a bear. Now I am set free by his death and have all my treasures again." Then they went home to the cottage. The king's son took Snow White and Rose Red and their mother to live in his palace. With them they carried the 2 rose bushes which they planted in the palace garden. Every year the bushes bore white roses and red, which were no sweeter nor more beautiful than the 2 sisters.